Hey, what's up you guys, it's IAmTheLionRider, and in today's video, I wanted to showcase a thing that has kind of been floating around my zoo friend group lately, and that is creating zoo life lists. So, for anyone who isn't already aware of what a zoo life list is, it is basically a way of documenting every single zoo and aquarium and animal that you've seen at said places in a nice organized list. So, in today's video, I wanted to kind of showcase my own life list, give some background information on, what they are, and then, of course, how you could make your own zoo life list. So, for a little bit of background context, this all started because of my good buddy Dill, who actually started his life list basically last October. And he has been going to a bunch of zoos and stuff, and every time he goes to a zoo, he writes down on a little notepad every animal he's seen. Then, when he gets home, he goes to this Excel spreadsheet and basically just kind of fills in the blanks. So, he has a kind of more in-depth life list. I've kind of dumbed it down a little bit. But for an example, so if we go to the first tab, this is his general info. He lists all of the animals, or all of the zoos he's been to, their location, a link to each of their websites, and then their accreditation status, so whether they're AZA, ZAA, EAZA, etc. And then basically the next few tabs are just your animal types. So you have mammals, birds, reptiles. If you want, you could do a fish tab if you're an aquarium fan. There's basically no limits, because as an example, while Dill decided to go all out and did the Latin names of everything, I kind of dumbed it down a little bit. So over here, as you can see, this is my zoo life list. I've kind of simplified a lot. So while he has felinidae, I just have felines. And then I have all of my cat species. So I have cheetahs, ocelot serval, leopard cat, sand cat, Pallas cat, clouded leopard, fishing cat, bobcat, Canadian lynx, northern European lynx, black-footed cat, leopard cat, African lion. And then this is kind of where I want to talk about how you can organize some of your own lists. So, without further ado, I'm going to break down my list and kind of showcase off everything that's in it. So, the first thing on my list, if we go to the general info, this lists every zoo I have been to over the course of my life as of now. Now, you have a lot of options here. You can either choose to do every zoo/aquarium that you've ever been to in your entire life, or you could do what Dill did and just set a starting date. So, as an example, his is as of October 12th, 2020. Mine is just my whole life. It's totally up to you. I think Dill's method is a little bit more reasonable if you're just a little, scared to get into this, because it is a lot of work, but it's really rewarding when you're done, because you can kind of flex on, what have you seen over the course of your life. But basically, I just broke it down. So here are all the zoos I've been to. So you have Roger Williams, Capron Park, Southwick Zoo, New England Aquarium, Mystic Aquarium, Franklin Park Zoo, Bronx Zoo, Smithsonian, Six Flags Great Adventure, Disney's Animal Kingdom, San Diego Zoo, San Diego Safari Park, SeaWorld San Diego, Bioparco de Roma, Buttonwood Park, and Stone Zoo. So these are all the zoos, aquariums, and stuff I've been to. And then, just for my list in particular, I added this little subcategory for museums I've been to over the course of my life. So I have the Museum of Natural History in Providence, the Boston Museum of Science, Smithsonian Museum of Natural History, Smithsonian Museum of National History, Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, the Air and Space Annex, San Diego Natural History Museum, and the Museo Civico di Zoologio, which is it's basically inside the Bioparco de Roma, so I counted it. And so this is basically all of the facilities. I haven't added their websites yet, but I did list their accreditation, so AZA, ZAA, or EAZA, and then I color-coded them accordingly. And then if we hop over to my next categories, we get to my mammals category. So here, as you can see, I have a bunch of categories for stuff like hyenas. So let's say I went to a place that had striped hyenas, right? I would basically just insert a row here. I would type striped hyena, and then I could just write the facility name, whatever it is. And then as I got a second facility or something, I just add a second one. And then you do it until you basically have a really long list like I have. And it's really fun because you can then color code them however you feel like. Let's say you don't really agree with my color palette for, you know, any of the things, you can definitely change that. But another aspect you can definitely do is subspecies or color morphs. So as an example, lions are the perfect example. I have seen generic African lions at a bunch of places. As you can see, I have Southwick, Franklin Park, National, Bronx, Animal Kingdom, Safari Parks, the zoo, Six Flags. I even counted Ringling Brothers, because that was another thing we were talking about. If you've seen them in some form of captivity, be it maybe a circus or something, you can definitely count it if you want. It's your list. Like, if you disagree with circuses and don't think they should be counted, you don't have to. For the purposes of this, I decided to count it. Because it also helps me break down, like, where have I seen white lions? Where have I seen the different types of tigers? So here, I broke it down into all the subspecies. So you have Amur tiger, Sumatran, and Malayan, which are basically the traditionally recognized subspecies of tiger. Then you have your generic tigers, which a lot of zoos have, which are basically a mix of all the subspecies that they usually call Bengal, but they're not really Bengal tigers. So basically, I listed them all here, and then if I saw a white tiger, I listed them here. Similarly, you can break it down into Amur leopard, Persian leopard, generic leopards, which are zoo mix. If you don't know any of this information, you can definitely try to look it up online. As an example, let's say you aren't really sure, you're trying to dig into your past and you're trying to remember what animals you have. A lot of the websites of most zoos have some form of a zoo animal list. So as an example, let's say we're talking about the National Zoo. If I forgot if they had a type of crocodilian, I can just kind of scroll through and be like, oh yeah, they had American alligator. I think I remember some other kind of thing. Oh yeah, Chinese alligator. Oh, Cuban crocodile, that's what I forgot. And then you can just make sure that you basically check that stuff, because I know it can be a little bit daunting with some of the subspecies or like individual animals that look very similar. I had that issue exactly with when I got to my Promosimians. So bush babies, Patos, Loloris, etc. They all look incredibly similar in my, you know, mental brain, like thinking back years ago. So I remember the habitats, but I don't remember what animals they were. So luckily, websites like that help. Another great resource is Zoo Chat. So if anyone wants a full animal, animal list, a lot of websites have them. So as an example, Bronx Zoo, their website is pretty awful when it comes to their animal list. So I actually found this thread that actually lists all of the Bronx Zoo animals accordingly. So if you've ever been to the Bronx Zoo, this list is a little outdated, it's from 2010. So they've obviously gotten some new stuff since. But for the most part, it acts as a really good base foundation. If you can remember, you know, back in 2010 when I went to World of Darkness, but couldn't really remember the animals that I saw. But then if you actually go here, I was able to just find World of Darkness, and then here's all the animals that I was able to see. And from that, I was able to fill in a lot of the blanks of seeing, hey, I actually did see a lot of animals in my life. And the plus is, as you basically link up a category to a zoo and just do it that way, you can kind of get a mental memory in your head, like kind of linking everything together, where you're like, do I remember that? Like, I don't know, do I really remember the Arctic fox at Roger Williams? Oh wait, yeah, now I do. It was over where the penguin habitat used to be. It's kind of now defunct and no longer there, but I do remember it. And same thing, Pygmy Hippos, I remember seeing them at Six Flags when I was very, very young. But until I actually dug back into my memory of where did I see Pygmy Hippos before, that was a good example. And so I've broken mine down. I'm going to quickly scroll through my whole list so that you can kind of see the idea. But for the most part, I have my big categories, my cats, my bears. I've broken down brown bears into their subspecies I've seen, like ABC Islands bear and Eurasian brown bear and stuff. I've seen every bear species, so that's kind of a good flex. My canine collection's not as good as I would have liked, so I want to definitely try to get that up, maybe go and see some other types of canine species. Lemurs, I think I have a pretty impressive lemur collection. I think I have 12, which is a lot. Tamarins and marmosets I broke up from monkeys, because that also would just make the monkey list, which is already decently long, even longer. Similarly, if you want, you could probably have broken this down into like your different baboon species or something. It's totally up to you. Then I have my sloth species, which for the most part, most people will have only seen two-toed sloths because three-toed aren't really that popular in captivity. But you can also go into the subspecies of two-toed sloth you've seen. Similarly, red pandas. Roger Williams actually has Chinese red pandas, which are different from the traditional Himalayan red pandas. Marsupials, I have quite a bit of marsupials, so that's definitely pretty cool. I gotta say, Roger Williams has actually helped quite a bit with my list over the years, because we have had a lot of rare stuff that is just no longer in captivity, really, anymore. So then I broke down some of these, so obviously we have Suidae or whatever. I broke down to pigs, so pigs, warthogs, red river hog, Babirusa, that sort of thing. Antelope, I would say most people are gonna have a pretty long antelope or deer list. So I wanted to break up stuff like Bovidae, which would normally comprise antelope, sheep, and cows. I broke them up a little bit, so now cows have their own category and sheep have their own category. Similarly, you can do kind of like subcategories like I did. Like Takins really aren't goats per se, but they're in the goat category, and then I broke down the individual subspecies of Takin I've seen. Here's my deer section. Camels, I kind of comprise all Camelidae, so guanacos and vicuña are in the same category. I have my apes category, elephants, rhinos, hippos, tapirs, horses, and zebras. Giraffes, this is stuff that has yet to be sorted. It's a lot of leftovers from Dill, to be honest. Cetaceans, pinnipeds. I have a great pinniped collection. I think I have a very impressive one. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pinnipeds. Bats, I have quite a bit of. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bats. Here's my civet / binturong collection, and then my anteaters, and then aardvarks, and then I still have yet to sort all of my rodents, because rodents are quite a bit of a pain. So just definitely take into account that this might take some time. So I actually would recommend you do what Dill did instead, which basically says a zoo life list from X point, because that way you have a stronger foundation that you can kind of build off of instead of stressing about like digging into your deep past like I have. Another great idea that I really liked about Crocs, Crocs had this idea. He basically had a thing where you could add a little extra tab to your zoo thing, like last visit was X amount of days ago, which was kind of interesting because, like, as an example, for someone like me who goes to Roger Williams or like a Mystic pretty often, that could be like, oh yeah, I haven't been there in 2 weeks, versus something like I haven't been to Animal Kingdom in years. Which is kind of funny. So I actually kind of like that idea. So definitely if you want to do that, that's also a little fun little addition that you could do. So birds, I have not broken down my birds yet. So I have chosen to opt out of doing birds and most reptiles because it would just be such a pain. Birds, reptiles, insects, and fish, other than the big ones, I think it would just be way too much. So I basically broke down the ones that I cared about. So I have my hornbills, flamingos, penguins, and then I'll probably have one for like ostriches or something. But I'm not going into individual dove, pheasant species, etc. That'd be way too tedious. Similarly, reptiles, Dill here has like every type of, Latin name and stuff, as well as like snakes and stuff. I just went with the ones that I really cared about, so my crocodilians, and then I threw in Gila monster because, Gila monsters are cool. So, again, it's totally up to you how you break it down, but obviously, it's up to you. So, what I'm going to end this video on is showing you how you can make your own zoo life list. So, I'm going to be providing a template in the description of this video, where you guys can basically use my already existing color-coded base as a thing. So, you start off here, you have Zoo 1, Place USA, AZA accreditation, whatever. And you basically just fill in the blanks. So let's say you went to Roger Williams. You just type in Roger Williams Park Zoo. You type in Providence, Rhode Island. It is AZA, and then that's it. Then when you want to go to another zoo, you can just add in, Southwick's Zoo. And then you do Mendon, Massachusetts, and then that is ZAA. And then if you want, you can color code it using this little tab here, and then boom, there you go. So I hope you guys can kind of follow it, basically just break it down however you want. If you don't have any animals in one of these categories, you can just delete the category very easily. You just select the whole thing and then just hit delete, and then it's very simple. So I hope you guys enjoy this little video. I know it's not a traditional video, but these are actually super fun to make, and I would love to see any of your zoo life lists, because I am definitely in a it's definitely a very competitive thing. It's very similar to coaster credits that a lot of the theme park nerds like. So whenever they ride a roller coaster, they get to flex, oh, I've been on that roller coaster or something, I got a coaster credit. So it's kind of the zoo translation of that, so it's definitely very cool. But thank you all for watching today's video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.